Welcome to the Peew, the Sinky show, filmed here in Gainesville, Florida, right now, and we're here back with the Crown Prince of Hell. I don't know why they call him that. Why do they call you that?
Search me.
Well,
at your own peril.
And we are. That's why they call him the Crown Prince.
Right.
And so here we are today in the Elegant Updates, with the Elegant Updates wall behind us, to talk some more about Nico and Velvet Underground, because there's so much to talk about.
Sure.
And to teach all of us, we're all going to learn things about the Velvet Underground today.
Right.
And as JJ learned, he didn't know who Terry Toy was.
No.
And he kind of knew who Christina was. In fact, that's how I
came across the film Party Monster, because my friend knew that I would only watch things actually that were directly or indirectly related to Nico. And he said, Marilyn Manson portrays Nico in a certain capacity. I said, all right, I'll watch it with you. And so this is how I was first introduced to the notion of the person that is Michael Alig.
And Christina, I don't know, maybe people don't know, Christina, the drag queen that he portrayed, was actually obsessed with Nico. And it's interesting because I wanted Christina to become my first superstar, and so I was to Christina her Andy Warhol, and that's also interesting because when I watched JJ's videos and his performances,
and when he came to
and the band here and what's it called,
the La Biancas,
who I actually like that band, the music anyway, and I noticed that the women in his videos all seemed to me to be his Nikos.
All the girls who fall in love with me look like, or who come to me as friends, look like exactly like Nico, and after a few minutes of interacting with me, or maybe before, they already did, both. And just we all decide that we're one person.
So they're part of the decision. They're aware that they're your Nico.
I told a certain celebrity to tilt her head up a bit and let her cheekbones get sun exposure, just get exposure from the skies, just tilt your face up like you're holding an impersonal piece of property, like a Mercedes, and she immediately became 20 times more beautiful, and she was already beautiful.
Tell me who she is after. And
right.
So they're aware that they're your because, which is interesting because you're kind of their Andy,
right?
So it's the same kind of back and forth.
And there's some kind of lineage there, which there's some kind of thing.
Yeah. So okay, so and also. Terry Toy and Christina, and there are a lot of Nico kind of copycats. What I thought was interesting was the way that Andy Warhol on this album chose to use the negative press clippings as their kind of advertisements, their blurbs.
Yeah, there's a one that's not included, but
the Cher one I really loved.
Andy loved. This was his favorite quote about the Velvet Underground. I think it maybe have come out after the issue of this album. Cher said, "The Velvet Underground and Nico will replace nothing except maybe suicide," which is the best thing that could have ever happened.
Because I'm sure she meant it as a dig, but it comes off kind of as a compliment.
Enormous compliment, especially coming from Cher at the time, where she was in the
yeah, she must have been drunk or high or something.
She was very folksy and kind of the square, they would have said, or
Well, which is interesting because to Middle America, Cher and Nico were probably kind of similar. I mean, to
Middle America, Nico was bizarre. It's beautiful but bizarre and off-putting. Her voice sounding like an IBM computer, and her looking so
really like an IBM computer.
That's what Andy thought.
Like soulless.
He thought she sounded like Greta Garbo. Crossed with an IBM computer. I think he was right.
But did he mean soulless?
I think he meant that she sounded like she does.
Droning?
Greta Garbo and an IBM.
Droning?
She's got that drone element. She does.
But she
drone harmonium chords
she's a
too.
soulful droner.
He came your way, and then when he had to go, there were roses growing in the snow.
She's a soulful droner.
Silently you go through the shadow of your soul.
But it does come off as a compliment because if you replace suicide, then that's
your life itself.
That's a good thing, yeah. So, I like that. And it's
this picture of Eric Emerson. You could show it. So they were screening part of the footage from Chelsea Girls. They actually showed this image of Eric Emerson without his explicit permission, and so Verve reacted by reprinting the album with a sticker over it that said "The Velvet Underground and Nico." And so Eric Emerson didn't get any money from that. It just delayed the album. That? He was one of the very obscure, low-level superstars
of the Factory.
Yeah. I like this image of Andy.
What's the big deal? What's the big deal of putting his cover on the album?
Well, he just thought he could get some money by suing them, perhaps, because he was down and out and looking for drug money.
Oh.
And so he thought, I'll sue Verve for that sneaky way of incorporating my image.
Think about that. Oh, and he hadn't had their permission, so Verve got around that by putting the sticker over it.
Yeah, and they were like, "Well, fuck you, we're not going to give you any money."
I get it. Also, another interesting thing is because I got my first ideas for doing performances from the Exploding Plastic Inevitable.
Oh, really? I didn't know this.
Even though I didn't know that they were the Exploding Plastic Inevitable. Okay. I remember seeing clips on TV and in documentaries of like these 60s kind of psychedelic shows with like film over them and like lettering and just like all kinds of like multimedia kind of thing over the performances and like sound effects and things like that, which I emulated at the World. I can see you doing that. I emulated them at the World, not knowing even that it was the Velvet Underground and the Exploding Plastic whatever that I was emulating.
Yeah.
So very, very interesting. And he's got everything that you would have if you were like a crazy obsessive
Nico fan. Nico in the Velvet Underground.
Velvet Underground. But she is the embodiment of cool, really. You can't deny that.
Let's read the quote.
And kind of like American cool. Like she embodied American
very
cool.
European cool. Very inaccessible European
cool.
But she brought it into really America. Cool, yeah.
Yeah, she brought it into America.
Definitely.
And she made being American, New York, very cool.
True.
Which is interesting, the difference between cool and fabulous.
Right.
Wait, no, cool and famous.
Right.
Or cool
she's too cool to be famous, to be popular.
Yes. Once you're popular, and I got into a huge fight with somebody in Peru about this.
Really?
Yes, because he said that, no, if you're cool, then you're popular. And I said, no, once you're popular, you can no longer be cool by the very fact that you are popular. And he did not understand that. He said that if I open a club, I'm going to play all the coolest music, all the most popular music. I said, well, then it won't be cool.
This is a very Warholian attachment. This picture of Amanda Lepore that I took at Vector Gallery eating a Big Mac and then put on a soup can in order to, say hi to Andy. And now it's attached to the Velvet Underground and Nico in the Velvet Underground. So I'm going to read this one quote. Warhol's brutal assemblage, non-stop horror show. He has indeed put together a total environment, but it is assemblage that actually vibrates with menace, cynicism, and perversion. To experience it is to be brutalized, helpless. You're in any kind of horror you want to imagine.
See, I would take that as a compliment.
From police state to madhouse.
I would take that as something I would want to go see, too.
Eventually the reverberations in your ears stop, but what will you do with what you still hear in your brain? The flowers of evil are in full bloom at the Exploding Plastic Inevitable.
So, amazing. Wait a minute. So, the Exploding Plastic Inevitable was the name of what?
It was the EPI shows, the multimedia lights and,
So they weren't necessarily...
They would show screen films, they would have Velvet Underground performances and light show and live shows where the Mary Warrenov would whip Gerard Malanga or vice versa, and Edie at first was trying to... sing.
So it's the name of a particular kind of performance.
Right, the first EPI, Exploding Plastic Inevitable, was a multimedia show. Yeah. The first EPI show was at the New York Psychiatry Convention, and they were all stunned, and it was Warhol's way of gaslighting the gaslighters.
Well, we're going to hear all about that when we come back from the break, because I think that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Hold on.
We're also going to talk about somebody who is famous and not popular.
Oh, they're back.
Again.
And now a word from our sponsor.
Welcome back to the Peew, where after some investigation, we did we find any episode? I mean, any visuals? We did, and over the visuals of the show, explained what they were, why they did it, and what happened.
So at the first EPI show, it was at the Clinical Psychiatry Convention, wherein Warhol, because he was Warhol, was able to place his multimedia show at the epicenter of New York's psychiatry pop elite. And the psychiatrists were pretty much unanimous in their dismay at this total assault on their senses. And
what do they call it? A cacophony?
This torturous cacophony. perhaps they found it a bit cathartic, because some of them said it was a complete expression of the id, and quite akin to the LSD experience. Yes, this is something that they may have had in mind.
Which makes sense why it would be there.
Yeah. And then there were also agents provocateurs going out through the audience, not only filming them, but asking the psychiatrist questions like, do you envy him having a penis? Do you wish you could suck his right now? And sort of provoking, like, why? Why are you acting like this? You're a psychiatrist. You're not supposed to get flustered. They felt homesick for their couches, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, it was interesting, and I like the last line of it, which was, if you really
want to do something for mental health,
you'll
kill the story.
Article, yeah. And on that note, we will kill this episode with a photo that JJ doesn't want anybody to see, but I think it's really cool, of himself as a
college graduate from the University of Florida. Political science. Never took an art class in my life.
Well, and that I believe. We will see you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.